The morning sunlight streamed through the glass doors of Hayes Technologies headquarters, casting long shadows across the polished marble floor. Claire Morrison clutched her worn leather bag tightly, her heart pounding as she navigated through the busy lobby. She had come to drop off design portfolio samples for a potential freelance contract, a job that could finally help her catch up on overdue rent. An unfortunate slip as Claire approached the reception desk, her bag's zipper gave way. Papers scattered across the floor like autumn leaves caught in a sudden gust of wind. She dropped to her knees, frantically gathering her work samples, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. Among the scattered documents, a small black and white photo slipped from an interior pocket, sliding several feet away across the smooth marble surface. Before Claire could reach it, a polished black shoe stepped into her line of vision. She looked up slowly, past the perfectly tailored charcoal suit, past the crisp white shirt, until her eyes met a pair of striking gray eyes that made her breath catch in her throat. Vincent Hayes stood before her, the ultrasound photo delicately held between his fingers. Recognition strikes. "I believe this belongs to you," Vincent said, his voice smooth and controlled, yet there was something flickering behind his composed expression. His eyes moved from Claire's flushed face to the photo in his hand, and she watched as his brow furrowed slightly. The date printed in the corner seemed to hold his attention far longer than necessary. Claire's hand trembled as she reached for the photo. "Thank you, Mr. Hayes. I'm so sorry for the disruption." Her voice came out barely above a whisper. She recognized him immediately, not from the business magazines that featured him regularly, but from a night 4 months ago that had felt like a beautiful dream. Vincent's fingers brushed hers as he handed over the ultrasound, and the contact sent a jolt of recognition through both of them. "Have we met before?" he asked, though something in his tone suggested he already knew the answer. A night to remember Claire's mind raced back to that evening in March. The hospital charity auction had been held at the Riverside Gallery, an event Rebecca had dragged her to, insisting that networking could lead to design opportunities. Claire had felt completely out of place among the wealthy donors in her simple black dress from a thrift store. Vincent had been standing alone near a painting of a stormy seascape, seemingly lost in thought. Their conversation had started innocently enough when Claire commented on the artwork. He had not introduced himself as the founder of a technology empire, and she had not mentioned her struggling design business. They were simply two people who found an unexpected connection in a crowded room. They had talked for hours about art, about dreams, about the weight of expectations and the freedom of anonymity. When the auction ended, they had walked along the riverside, the city lights reflecting on the water. The night had ended at his penthouse apartment, a decision that felt natural and right in that suspended moment of time. The uncomfortable truth. "The charity auction," Claire finally answered, meeting his gaze. "We spoke about the seascape painting." Vincent's expression shifted subtly, a mixture of surprise and something deeper. "I remember." He glanced at the reception desk, then back to Claire. "What brings you to Hayes Technologies today?" "I'm dropping off design samples. Your marketing department posted a call for freelance graphic designers." Claire gathered the rest of her papers quickly, desperate to escape before this encounter became more complicated. "I see." Vincent's eyes moved once more to her bag, where the corner of the ultrasound photo now protruded slightly. "Ms. Morrison, would you join me in my office? I would like to discuss your portfolio personally." The weight of secrets, it was not a request. Claire knew that much from his tone. Her stomach twisted with a combination of anxiety and something she refused to name. She followed Vincent through the lobby, acutely aware of the curious stares from employees and visitors alike. The private elevator ride to the top floor felt eternal, the silence between them heavy with unspoken questions. Vincent's office occupied the entire corner of the building, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a breathtaking view of the city skyline. The space was elegant but surprisingly warm, with personal touches that spoke of a man who actually lived in his workspace rather than just occupied it. "Please, sit." Vincent gestured to a comfortable leather chair before moving to close the door behind them. He did not take his position behind the massive desk, but instead sat in the chair facing hers, eliminating any barrier between them. The question that changes everything. The ultrasound photo, Vincent began, his voice carefully neutral. The date on it was March 28th. That would make you roughly 14 weeks pregnant. He paused, his gray eyes searching her face. The auction was on March 10th. Claire's throat went dry. She had not expected him to remember the exact date, let alone calculate the timeline so quickly. Yes, she managed to say. Vincent leaned forward slightly, his hands clasped together. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. His composure cracked just slightly, revealing genuine vulnerability beneath. Is the baby mine? The question hung in the air between them, and Claire felt the walls she had carefully constructed around her situation begin to crumble. She had spent the past 6 weeks since discovering her pregnancy trying to figure out what to do, whether to contact Vincent, whether she even could contact someone like him. Now fate had forced her hand. Yes, Claire whispered, the single word carrying the weight of everything she had been holding inside. There has been no one else, not before that night, and not since. The storm begins. Vincent's face revealed a cascade of emotions, shock, confusion, and something that looked almost like relief. He stood abruptly, walking to the windows, his silhouette framed against the bright sky. Outside, dark clouds were beginning to gather on the horizon, promising a storm. Why did you not tell me? His voice was quiet, but Claire heard the hurt beneath the words. Did you plan to raise this child without ever letting me know? Claire felt tears prick her eyes. How was I supposed to tell you? I barely know you. That night was supposed to be just a beautiful memory. Then I found out I was pregnant, and suddenly everything became complicated. You are Vincent Hayes. I am a struggling designer who can barely pay rent. What was I supposed to do? Call your office and ask for an appointment to discuss our one night together? Vincent turned from the window, and Claire was surprised to see understanding rather than anger in his expression. You could have tried, he said simply. I would have listened. Vincent returned to his chair, sitting down heavily as if the weight of this revelation had finally caught up with him. He ran his hand through his dark hair, a gesture that made him look less like the powerful CEO whose face graced business magazines and more like the man Claire had connected with that night at the gallery. Tell me about the appointment, Vincent said, his voice softer now. Is everything progressing normally? Is the baby healthy? The genuine concern in his question made Claire's carefully maintained composure begin to crack. She had spent weeks convincing herself that she could handle this alone, that she did not need anyone, especially not someone from a completely different world. But hearing the worry in his voice reminded her that this was not just her situation to bear. The doctor says everything looks perfect, Claire replied, her hand instinctively moving to her still flat stomach. Strong heartbeat. Normal development. I have been taking prenatal vitamins and following all the guidelines. She paused, then added quietly, I have been scared, but the baby is healthy. Breaking down. Walls Vincent nodded slowly, his eyes following the protective gesture of her hand. I want to be part of this, Claire. I need you to understand that whatever assumptions you might have about my reaction or my character, they are likely wrong. He leaned forward, his expression earnest. A child is not an inconvenience to me. It is not a problem to be solved with money and lawyers. Then what is it? Claire challenged, feeling a spark of her natural fire return. Because from where I sit, this seems impossible. You live in a penthouse. I share a 2-bedroom apartment with my best friend. You run a company worth billions. I am trying to figure out how to afford health insurance. Your last girlfriend was a fashion model. I buy my clothes from thrift stores. How exactly do you see this working? Vincent's jaw tightened, but not with anger. You think those things matter to me? You think I care about the size of your apartment or where you buy your clothes? He stood again, this time moving closer to her chair. That night at the gallery, you were the first person in years who talked to me like I was just a man, not a bank account or a business opportunity. Do you have any idea how rare that is? Unexpected vulnerability. Claire looked up at him, seeing something raw and honest in his expression that took her by surprise. That night was real for me, Vincent continued. The connection we had, the conversation, the way you laughed at my terrible jokes about modern art. I have thought about you more times than I care to admit over these past months. Then why did you not try to find me? The question slipped out before Claire could stop it. Vincent's expression became pained. Because I convinced myself it was better that way. My life is complicated. The media follows my every move. Anyone I get close to becomes a target for speculation and gossip. I thought I was protecting you by letting that night remain a perfect memory. He gave a bitter laugh. Clearly, fate had other plans. A heavy silence settled between them, broken only by the distant rumble of thunder. The storm that had been threatening finally arrived, rain beginning to patter against the windows with increasing intensity. The reality of his world. There is something you need to understand, Vincent said, returning to his seat. My family has expectations. My brother Jonathan runs the company finances, and he has very specific ideas about how a Hayes should conduct their personal life. My parents, though they are retired now, still have considerable influence in business circles. He met her eyes directly. When this becomes public, and it will become public eventually, there will be scrutiny. There will be questions and judgment. Claire felt her stomach tighten with anxiety. Are you asking me to hide this? To hide our child? No, Vincent said firmly. Absolutely not. I am trying to prepare you for what is coming. But I want you to know that I will stand beside you through all of it. Whatever people say, whatever the media prints, whatever my family thinks, I will not abandon you or our child. Claire's fear. How can you promise that? Claire's voice broke slightly. You do not know me. Not really? What if I turn out to be terrible? What if I cannot handle your world? What if our child grows up resenting being caught between two such different lives? Vincent reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. When she did not, he took her hand gently in his. Then we will figure it out together. I am not asking you to have all the answers right now. I do not have them either. But I am asking you to give me a chance to be a father to this child, to be a partner to you in whatever way you are comfortable with. The warmth of his hand around hers felt solid and reassuring. Claire had been carrying this weight alone for so long that having someone else willing to share the burden felt almost overwhelming. A proposal. I have another appointment next Thursday, Claire said quietly. Another ultrasound. The doctor wants to check the baby's growth and do some additional screening tests. What time? Vincent asked immediately. 2 p.m. Vincent pulled out his phone, scrolling through what Claire assumed was a very full calendar. I will be there. Just send me the address. He looked up at her. If that is okay with you. Claire nodded, surprised by the emotion welling up inside her. Okay. There is something else, Vincent continued. I want us to spend time together. Real time, not just medical appointments. I want to get to know you properly, and I want you to know me beyond the headlines and business reputation. He squeezed her hand gently. Have dinner with me tonight. Not here. Not in this office where I am your potential employer and you are a woman in a difficult position. Somewhere neutral. Somewhere we can just talk. The invitation, Claire hesitated. Years of self-preservation warring with the undeniable pull she still felt toward him. The rational part of her brain screamed that this was moving too fast, that she needed time to think, to plan, to protect herself and her unborn child. But another part, the part that had led her to that gallery and into his arms 4 months ago, whispered that sometimes the best decisions were the ones that felt right, despite making no logical sense. Where? She finally asked. Relief flooded Vincent's features. There is a small Italian restaurant in the Arts District. Family-owned, quiet, private. The owner is an old friend who values discretion. We can talk without interruption or speculation. What time? 7? I can send a car for you. Or if you prefer, I can pick you up myself. Claire thought about her neighborhood, the peeling paint and broken streetlights, and felt a flash of embarrassment. But then she remembered Vincent's words about not caring where she lived. You can pick me up. I will text you the address. An unexpected interruption. Before Vincent could respond, his office door burst open. A man who shared Vincent's strong jawline and gray eyes strode in, his expression thunderous. Vincent, we need to talk about the Morgan acquisition. They are threatening to walk if we do not. He stopped abruptly, noticing Claire for the first time. Jonathan, Vincent said, his voice tight with barely controlled irritation. I am in the middle of something important. Jonathan Hayes, the CFO Claire recognized from company photos, looked between them with undisguised curiosity. I can see that. Are you going to introduce me? No, Vincent said flatly. Because you are leaving. Now. Jonathan's eyebrows rose, but he apparently knew his brother well enough to recognize when to retreat. Fine, but we need to discuss Morgan before the board meeting tomorrow. He nodded politely to Claire. Apologies for the interruption. With that, he left, though Claire noticed he did not close the door completely behind him. Making plans, Vincent stood and firmly closed the door before returning to Claire. I apologize for my brother. He has never understood the concept of boundaries. It is fine, Claire said, though her anxiety had spiked at the interruption. It was a stark reminder of the world Vincent inhabited, one of constant demands and high-stakes decisions. Could she really fit into that life? As if reading her thoughts, Vincent said, My work is demanding. I will not lie about that. But it does not define who I am, and it will not define how I approach being a father. He pulled a business card from his pocket, writing something on the back before handing it to her. This is my personal cell phone number. Not the office line, not my assistant. Me, call or text anytime, for any reason. Claire took the card, running her thumb over the embossed lettering. Thank you. I will pick you up at 7, Vincent confirmed. Dress comfortably. Tonight is about us getting to know each other, nothing more. No pressure, no expectations beyond honest conversation. A glimmer of hope as Claire gathered her bag to leave. Vincent walked her to the door. Claire, he said, causing her to turn back. I know you are scared, I am too, but I want you to know something. He paused, choosing his words carefully. That night at the gallery was not just a pleasant memory for me. It was the first time in years I felt like myself. And now, knowing about our child, I feel like I have been given a second chance at something real. I do not want to waste it. The sincerity in his voice made Claire's throat tight with emotion. She managed a small smile. 7 o'clock. Do not be late. I would not dream of it, Vincent replied. And for the first time since the ultrasound had fallen from her bag, Claire saw him truly smile. Claire stood in front of her cramped closet, staring at the limited options hanging before her. Every dress she pulled out seemed wrong, either too casual or trying too hard. Her small bedroom felt even smaller as anxiety built in her chest. Through the thin wall, she could hear Rebecca moving around in the kitchen, no doubt preparing to interrogate her about the evening ahead. You have been standing there for 20 minutes, Rebecca called out, appearing in the doorway with 2 mugs of herbal tea. At this rate, Vincent will arrive and find you in your bathrobe. Claire accepted the tea gratefully, sinking onto her bed. What am I doing, Becca? This morning I was a struggling designer trying to get freelance work. Tonight I am having dinner with a billionaire who just found out he is going to be a father. How did my life become a drama plot? A friend's wisdom. Rebecca sat beside her, her expression a mixture of concern and excitement. Your life became a drama plot the moment you decided to talk to a handsome stranger at that charity auction. But here is the thing. You cannot change what has happened. You can only decide how you move forward. She gestured to the closet. So stop overthinking and wear the green dress. The one with the wrap style. It is comfortable, it looks beautiful on you, and it will work perfectly as your pregnancy progresses. Claire looked at the dress Rebecca indicated. A soft sage green that she had bought on sale months ago for a client presentation that never happened. You think so? I know so. And Claire? Rebecca took her hand. I saw how your face looked when you came home and told me what happened in Vincent's office. Scared, yes, but also hopeful. I have not seen you look hopeful in a very long time. The arrival at precisely 7 o'clock, Claire's phone buzzed with a text. I am downstairs whenever you are ready. No rush. The message was simple, but the consideration behind it made her smile. She took one last look in the mirror, smoothing down the green dress and touching the simple silver necklace her grandmother had given her years ago. It was her good luck charm, and she needed all the luck she could get tonight. The evening air was cool and fresh after the afternoon storm. Vincent stood beside a sleek but understated car, not the flashy sports car she might have expected. When he saw her, his face lit up with a genuine smile that made her stomach flutter in a way that had nothing to do with pregnancy. "You look beautiful," Vincent said, opening the car door for her. He had changed from his business suit into dark jeans and a charcoal sweater that made his gray eyes even more striking. He looked younger, more relaxed, more like the man she had met at the gallery. "You clean up nicely yourself," Claire replied, surprised by how natural it felt to tease him gently. The restaurant. The Italian restaurant Vincent had chosen was tucked away on a quiet street in the Arts District, its weathered brick facade and ivy-covered walls giving it a timeless charm. Inside, warm lighting and the aroma of garlic and fresh herbs created an atmosphere of comfort and intimacy. The owner, an elderly man named Antonio, greeted Vincent with genuine affection, leading them to a private corner table without any fuss or fanfare. "Vincent brought his grandmother here every Sunday for 10 years, Antonio said to Claire with a warm smile. "Any friend of his is family here." He winked before disappearing to give them privacy. "Your grandmother?" Claire asked as they settled into their seats. Vincent's expression softened. "She raised me after my parents got too caught up in building the business empire. She taught me that success means nothing if you forget to be human." He paused, a shadow crossing his face. "She passed away 3 years ago. I still come here sometimes when I need to remember what matters." Opening up, the confession was unexpected and intimate, revealing a side of Vincent that the business world never saw. Claire felt her defenses lowering slightly. "Tell me about her." Over antipasti and warm bread, Vincent talked about his grandmother Elena, a woman who had immigrated from Italy with nothing but determination and recipes, passed down through generations. She had worked as a seamstress while his grandfather built a small construction business. They had never been wealthy, but they had been rich in love and laughter. "She would have loved knowing about the baby," Vincent said quietly. "She always said I worked too much, that I needed to find someone who saw me rather than my bank account." He met Claire's eyes. "She would have liked you." Claire felt warmth spread through her chest. "I wish I could have met her." She took a sip of her sparkling water before adding, "My grandmother raised me too. My parents died in a car accident when I was 8. Grandma Rose was a librarian who believed that books could heal any hurt and that creativity was the soul's way of speaking. Shared. Understanding, is she still—" Vincent began carefully. "She passed 2 years ago," Claire said, managing a sad smile. "Cancer, fast and brutal. She left me her book collection and her belief that I could make something of myself as a designer." She looked down at her plate. "I am not sure I have lived up to that belief yet." Vincent reached across the table, his hand covering hers. "From what I saw of your portfolio samples this morning, before everything else happened, your grandmother would be incredibly proud. Your work is exceptional, Claire. Creative, bold, exactly what our marketing department needs." "You actually looked at my work?" Claire asked, surprised. "Of course I did. After you left, I had Grace bring me everything you dropped off. You have real talent." Vincent squeezed her hand gently. "And I want to offer you the freelance contract, but I understand if the situation makes that complicated. I do not want you to ever feel obligated or pressured because of the baby." Honest conversation. The main course arrived, homemade pasta that melted on the tongue, but Claire barely tasted it. She was too focused on the man across from her, seeing layers she had not expected. "Can I ask you something honestly?" she said. "Anything. That night at the gallery, you seemed so free, so present. But today in your office, even now, I see the weight you carry. Which one is the real you?" Vincent was quiet for a moment, considering. "Both, I suppose. The man at the gallery was who I wish I could be all the time. The CEO is who I have to be to keep everything running, to meet everyone's expectations." He looked at her intently. "But with you, I feel like I can be something in between. Someone who has responsibilities but also has permission to be human." I am scared, Claire admitted. Not just about the baby, though, that terrifies me enough. But about this, whatever this is between us. What if we try to build something and it falls apart? What if our child gets caught in the middle? A promise. Made Vincent set down his fork, giving her his complete attention. I cannot promise we will not make mistakes. I cannot guarantee everything will be perfect. But I can promise you this. I will always be honest with you. I will always put our child's well-being first, and I will never make you feel less than because of where you come from or what you have. He paused. My parents' marriage was a business arrangement. They built an empire together but forgot to build a relationship. I watched them live separate lives under the same roof, staying together for appearances. I do not want that for us or for our child. What do you want? Claire asked softly. I want to try. Really try. Not because of obligation or responsibility, but because that night at the gallery showed me something I had been missing. Connection, authenticity, joy. Vincent's voice was earnest. I want to get to know you, the real you. I want you to know me beyond the headlines, and I want us to build something genuine, whether that becomes a romantic relationship or a strong partnership as parents. Either way, I want it to be real. The doctor's appointment over dessert, they discussed practical matters. The upcoming ultrasound appointment, Claire's current living situation, her financial concerns about medical bills. Vincent offered help with careful sensitivity, making it clear he wanted to support her without taking over her independence. I have been saving every penny for medical expenses, Claire explained. But it is not enough, and I know it. The anxiety keeps me up at night. Let me help, Vincent said, not as a handout, but as the father of this child. Let me make sure you have the best prenatal care, that you are not stressed about bills when you should be focused on staying healthy. When Claire started to protest, he added, Please, let me do this much at least. Claire felt tears prick her eyes, overwhelmed by his kindness. Okay, she whispered. Thank you. As they left the restaurant, Vincent walked Claire to the car, but hesitated before opening the door. The street was quiet, lit by soft street lamps and the glow from restaurant windows. Can I ask you something? He said. Of course. That night, at the gallery when we walked along the river, you told me about a dream you had. Opening your own design studio someday, creating a space where art and business could meet. Do you still want that? Claire was touched that he remembered such a small detail from months ago. I do. It feels impossible right now, but yes, I still dream about it. Vincent nodded slowly. Then we should make sure that dream stays alive. Being a mother does not mean giving up who you are, Claire. If anything, our child should grow up seeing you pursue your passions. That is the kind of example worth setting. The goodbye. That isn't. When Vincent pulled up outside Claire's apartment building, neither of them moved to end the evening. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment before Vincent turned to her. Thursday at 2. I will meet you at the doctor's office. And Claire, thank you for giving me this chance. For letting me be part of this journey. Thank you for wanting to be part of it, Claire replied. On impulse, she leaned over and kissed his cheek gently. Good night, Vincent. His hand came up to touch where her lips had been, his expression tender. Good night, Claire. Text me when you get inside so I know you are safe. She nodded, climbing out of the car with a lightness she had not felt in weeks. As she reached her apartment door, she pulled out her phone and sent a quick message. Inside safely. Thank you for tonight. His response came immediately. Sweet dreams, both of you. New Hope Rebecca was waiting with barely contained excitement, but Claire held up a hand. Tomorrow. I will tell you everything tomorrow. Tonight, I just want to hold on to this feeling a little longer. In her small bedroom, Claire changed into comfortable pajamas and sat on her bed, one hand on her stomach. Your daddy is a good man, she whispered to the tiny life growing inside her. We are going to be okay. All three of us are going to be okay. For the first time since seeing those 2 pink lines on the pregnancy test, Claire believed it might actually be true. The road ahead would not be easy, but she would not be walking it alone. As she drifted off to sleep, She dreamed not of impossibilities and fears, but of a small design studio with a cradle in the corner, of Vincent's gray eyes crinkling with laughter, of a future that was uncertain but no longer terrifying. Outside her window, the city lights twinkled like promises waiting to be kept. The storm had passed, leaving the air clean and full of possibility. And somewhere across town, Vincent Hayes sat in his penthouse, looking at a grainy ultrasound photo, a smile on his face and hope blooming in his heart for the first time in years. Their story was just beginning, the end.